Hello and welcome to the Geeks for Geeks video lecture series. So today we are going to cover the article longest common span with the same sum in two binary arrays. So the problem here says that you are given two binary arrays of same length and you want to find the length of the longest common span. So by longest common span we mean the longest subarray such that the sum of the elements of this subarray are the same when we take the same span in the next subarray in the next array. So if you look at this example, this subarray beginning at index 1 going up to index 4 has a sum of 4 in the first array, and if you look at this subarray beginning at 1 ending at 4 in the second array, we see the sum here is 1 as well. And if you take any other subarray of length 5 or 6, you see that the sum are not going to be equal. So basically we need to figure out the largest subarray such that the sum of those two subarrays are equal and they begin at the same index and they end at the same index. So the naive way to approach this problem would be basically calculating the sum of all these possible subarrays and comparing them. For example, calculating the sum of this subarray and comparing it with the other one, and so on, this subarray and all the other subarrays one by one. So let us look at the code and try to understand the same. So as you can see, there is this method called longest common sum. This is where we are doing all the main calculation. So in here we have two for loops. The outer for loop goes from 0 to n minus 1 and the inner one goes from I to n minus 1. So basically for every iteration of in the inner loop, what we are really doing is we are considering a subarray of size I comma j, a subarray that begins at I and ends at j, and for that subarray we are calculating the sum, and after doing that calculation we are basically checking if the sum is equal or not. So whenever we see that the sum is equal, we count the length of that subarray and we compare if that length is greater than the previously recorded maximum length or not. If it is, we update it. So let us take a look. Let us do a dry run of this code to understand it better. So here we have an example. This is our array 1 and this is array 2, and we have to figure out the longest common span over here. So let us take a look at how this method goes about it. So initially we have our max length set at 0, sum1 is also 0 and sum2 is also 0. So we begin with I is equal to 0 and we go into the inside loop when j is also equal to 0. So basically sum1 becomes 0 and sum2 becomes 1. So as we can see, the two sums are not equal, so we won't be going inside this block, and we will be incrementing j one by one. And as you can see, for all the consecutive values of j, as we keep on incrementing j, we do not come across any case where the sum of the subarray become equal in the two arrays. So if when j becomes 1, the sum is sum1 is 1 and sum2 is 2, and j becomes 4, then the sum for the first subarray is 3 and for the second one is 5. So we can clearly see that at no point the two subarrays have the same sum. So moving on, for the next iteration of I, when I becomes 1, that is when we start from here, and when j is 0, we see that for this iteration we get sum1 is equal to 1 and sum2 is also 1. So now we will go inside this block, and now we'll calculate length. So length is calculated, length becomes 1 here because j is also 1 and I is also 1. So now we'll update max length accordingly. So and so on, we'll keep on incrementing j. So when j becomes 2, we see that the sums are different now, so we won't make any changes, and so on, like for j is equal to 3, 4, sum is not going to be equal for the two subarrays, so we won't be going inside this block. But finally when we reach when j reaches 5, then the sum begins again, then the two sums again become to be equal. So sum1 becomes 4 now and sum2 becomes 4 as well, and if we calculate length now, so the length becomes 5 now because 5 is this index and 1 is this index, 5 minus 1 plus 1 is 5. So we'll update maxlen again, and as we increment j to 6, we see that the sum 1 and sum 2 become 5. They are still same, so we'll again update length and accordingly max length. Now as you can see, for when we increment I to 2, when I gets here, then none of the possible subarrays in the upcoming iterations are going to have a length greater than 6. So basically 6 is our answer, because for this span we are having the sum to be same for the two subarrays. So this is a nice way of doing this thing. As you can see, like these two loops are taking you through all the possible subarrays, and at every iteration we are basically calculating the sum for both the subarrays and comparing them, and accordingly updating maximum length. So clearly the complexity of this solution is big of n square because of these two loops. They both grow as the number n grows, and as we are not using any other auxiliary storage, so the space complexity of this solution is of course big of 1 constant. It doesn't depend on the input size n. So this is how the simple method works on. Next we'll go and look at the other method which has a better solution complexity wise. Let us pause for a while. So the question here asks us to provide a solution that has a time complexity of big of n, and the simple method that we just discussed, it has the time complexity of big of n square. So let us go ahead and look at the second solution and see how it achieves big of n time complexity. So first of all, the second method, let us go to some observations first, and then we'll look into the algorithm. So it first states that there are total n elements in both the binary arrays. So the maximum possible sum for any of the arrays is going to be n, and at any point when we try to calculate the difference of the sums over, let's say we are calculating the sum from here to here, and at any given point if we try to calculate the difference of the sum in the two subarrays, we'll see that the difference is never going to be more than plus n or minus n, because if all of these entries are 1 and if all of these entries are 0, in that case it's going to be n, and for vice versa, when the first array is all zeros and the second array is all ones, we'll see that the difference at this point, at the last point, will become to be minus n. So we will use this information later on. So basically right now we should see that there are 2n plus 1 possible values of difference, so that if we begin here and we go on to any index, the possible values of difference goes like at the first point it could be 1, 0 or minus 1, at the next point it could be maximum plus 2 or minus 2, and so on, so it reaches plus n or minus n. So now we see this thing that if at any index the prefix sum, that is the sum that begins at index 0 and goes up to index I that we are at right now, so if at any such index I the prefix sum of the two arrays becomes same, and then at some other index j such that j is greater than I, the prefix the difference between the prefix sum becomes same again, then you can say that the difference of these two indices is going to give us the length of the longest common span, because the two differences becoming same at any index means that the subarray which is contained between these two indices is going to have equal sum. So this is the whole logic behind this thing. Let us move on to the algorithm and see how we approach this thing. So we start with creating an auxiliary array of 2n plus 1 size. Basically we want to know at what index which difference did we find, and we want to store that index. So for there are we all know that there are minus n to n possible values, so there are 2n plus 1 possible values, and hence the size of our array is 2n plus 1. So initially we are just initializing all these entries as all these elements as minus 1 to basically to make us know that currently we have not we have not come across this difference. So so initially we keep maximum length as 0 and the prefix sum for both the arrays as 0 as well. Now what we'll do is we'll start from I is equal to 0 and we'll go on to I n minus 1, and at every iteration we will add the ith element of the arrays to their respective sums, prefix sums, and at every iteration we will again now calculate the difference between those two sums. So 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 if the difference at the beginning is 0, or at any point is 0, so that basically means that so far the sum has been same, because that's how so prefix sum is the sum of the elements that start from the 0th index to the ith index, and if we are at the ith index and we see that the current diff is coming to be 0, that means that the sum so far is same. So this will mean that the maximum length will, if not already I, should be made I sorry, I plus 1. The maximum length will become I plus 1, and if this is not the case, then we will simply go to the diff array, and we'll update the diff at the diff index. We'll update the -1 earlier set as the value of the current index I at which we are at. So we are like calculating diff index as n plus current diff, because current diff, as we know, can be -n to n, but the indices of an array are always positive, so we are basically shifting this value by n digits. Sorry, we are adding n to this value so that we can shift this -n to n from -n to 0, so that it becomes 0 to 2n plus 1. Okay, we already know if current diff is 0, then I plus 1 is the max length so far. If this is not the case, then we check if the difference that we have just calculated, is it the first time we are coming across the difference or not. So we check this by looking into the diff array at this diff index, and if we find a -1 over there, that means this is the first time we have come across this difference. So we'll just update the diff array as the value I, so that we know if in future we again come across the same difference, then we will know that we already came across this difference at I, and we can calculate the we can calculate the difference of the new index with the I to know the span of the subarray where the sum is same. However, if this is not the case, if current diff is not seen for the first time, this means that we are coming here again. This is the second time, or maybe third or fourth time we are coming over here. So in this case, we will consider this as the current ending point known so far, and we will find the length of the current span, and we'll update max length accordingly. And finally, when our iteration is over, we'll return the value of max length. So let us again do the dry run of this code to better understand it, in case the explanation of the algorithm was not clear. Let us make an attempt to make it clear now. So initially we set max length as 0, prefix sum 1 and 2 as 0. So we start by initializing this diff array as -1. All the elements are set as -1, which means that we haven't come across any index at which we can find any of these differences. So after the first iteration, so let us just do the same example. So for I is equal to 0, we see pre-sum 1 as 0 and pre-sum 2 is 1. So the current diff becomes -1. Now diff index is calculated as n plus current diff. Since n is 6 over here, we'll update n as, n is 7 over here, so we'll just update n as 7, and we'll calculate the current diff. So current diff will is coming to be 6. So now clearly when we go to this 0 1 2 3 4 5 6. When we go to the index 6 of this array, we see that it's -1, which means that we are visiting this difference for the first time. So we'll just store the index at which we found this difference, and maybe we'll need it later. So for the time being, let us just store 0 over here, because 0 is the index at which we are at right now. Okay, so as you can see, this is the loop that we are going through, and here is where we are calculating the pre-sum, and then calculating current def and calculating the diff index, and the initial condition where we check if current def is 0 or not, and this is where we check if we are visiting this diff index for the first time or not. Okay, so let us increment I and see what happens. So when we increment I from 0 to 1, we see pre-sum 1 becomes 1 and pre-sum 2 becomes 2. So the difference is still same. So we stay at the same index. Now again, when we come at this condition, we see that this condition is will evaluate to false, because now diff index now diff 6 is actually 0. So we'll come to the third case, and now we'll try to calculate the length of this span. So the length of this span is 1 minus 0 1. So we'll update max length accordingly, and when we increment I to 2, we see now pre-sum 1 is still 1, but pre-sum 2 has become 3, and the difference has become -2. So now this again brings us to this second case. We'll again we'll now go to the diff index 7 minus 2, that's 5, and we'll put the index that we found this difference at. So the current index is 2, so we found a difference of -2 at I is equal to 2. So we update this position in the diff array as 2, and now we'll again do the length calculation. Oh, sorry, not now. And for the next iteration, when I becomes 3, we see that pre-sum 1 becomes 2 and pre-sum 2 becomes 4. Now the current diff is still -2, so we'll again visit the same index of the diff index, and we see that this index is not -1. So now we'll get into this condition, we'll calculate the length again. So the length is now 2, and we'll update max length accordingly. And as you can see, when we increment I from 3 to 4, again the current diff remains same, and so this will lead us to updating finally max length as 3. But when I becomes 5, to see that pre-sum 1 becomes 4 and pre-sum 2 becomes 5, and this brings us back to the current diff of -1. So now we are visiting the 6th index of the diff array again, and we see that the value stored here is 0. So we'll again calculate length. So now the length will come up to be 5 minus 0, that is 5. So we'll update max length accordingly. And finally, when we reach the last element, when I is 6, we see pre-sum 1 and pre-sum 2 become 5 and 6, and the diff is still same. And so we'll again calculate the new length, which turns out to be 6. So we'll update max length as 6, and this is the answer. So as you can see, in the second method, we only went through one loop. We only had to go through one iteration, and at the end of that iteration we had our answer. So the time complexity of this solution is big O of n, because as the size of the input n grows, there's only one loop, and so the complexity of our algorithm grows with the size of input by the order of n. And also we are using this auxiliary array diff for storing the indices at which we found the difference, and as the value of n grows, the size of array diff also grows, so the space complexity of this solution is also big O of n. So you can basically run these two programs and see if they are working fine or not, and you can try putting in different values and see for yourself if it is working for other examples or not. So that will be all for today. And so now I'd like to request you to please leave some comments, suggestions, and give us some feedback if this video was too fast paced or it was too slow, if the explanation was not clear, or if there was something wrong in the explanation. So we'll be happy to hear from you.